Alrighty, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this session of our K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series. The K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series is designed to help K-12 educators reimagine education with Blackboard teaching and learning solutions. The K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series harnesses the power of our K-12 community of academic leaders, teachers, and other experts to provide relevant, real-time, on-demand, and ongoing professional development opportunities for K-12 educators. So thanks for joining us today. My name is Colleen Smith, and I'm a K-12 marketing manager here at Blackboard. And while you might have seen me on the bit slides before, I've been sort of in the background helping run it, and that is because our very own Katie Gallagher is going to be leading this session today. So each webinar in the series is recorded. You can search for the K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series playlist on our YouTube channel, or there's also this tiny URL here, tinyurl.com/bitsK12. We'll also be sharing the recording and presentation slides a few days after each webinar via email, so keep an eye out for those. In addition, you're going to receive an invitation to participate in a professional learning community on CourseSites designed to augment the series and create an avenue for ongoing collaboration and dialogue. So please accept that invitation and participate in this new online PLC. We also have quite a few more sessions in the series through the end of the fall. So please join us next Monday for Making the Most of Your Technology Initiative, How to Effectively Leverage Technology in a One-to-One Classroom with Brandy Todd and Leanne Ford from Piedmont City Public Schools. You can go to bbb.blackboard.com/K12bits to register for any of the series sessions. And just a reminder, we do have this Blackboard K-12 Live app. It's a free app for Android and iOS devices. And we post all of the content into this app. You can take all of the content on the go, watch videos on your own time, or share with others. We really encourage you to download the app. So without further ado, I will introduce Katie, who many of you maybe are already familiar with. She is going to take us through Kick It Up a Notch, Badges and Personalized Learning. Do you want to increase student engagement and achievement in your blended or online learning K-12 classroom? Are you looking for ways to spice up your Blackboard class? Learn how in this Kick It Up a Notch, learn how to kick it up a notch with Badges and Personalized Learning. So this session is going to focus on the use of achievements and adaptive release in the Blackboard Learn class. Katie currently serves as our Senior Marketing Manager for Blackboard's Teaching and Learning Solutions and Products for K-12. She has served as an instructional designer, teacher, and lead teacher in K-12 blended and online programs for 17 years at Cathedral High School, the Indiana Online Academy, and Johns Hopkins University Center for Talented Youth Distance Education Programs. She graduated from University of Notre Dame and will be cheering on the Irish tomorrow against Florida State. Go Irish! She earned her master's in educational technology at Indiana University. And just to address a couple housekeeping items before I hand it over to Katie fully, if you could just remain on mute for the session. We have already muted all of you guys, but if you could do so throughout the session, we'd appreciate it so that we can keep a clean recording. Additionally, we're keeping an eye on the chat and Q&A windows. So if you have any questions throughout, we really encourage you to write them down there. Katie is monitoring it, as am I, and we'll just kind of pause the discussion where appropriate or save questions for the end so that Katie can address them. So I will pass it over to Katie now.
Thanks so much, Colleen. All right. So we are going to talk today about how to increase student engagement in your online or blended class and how to differentiate instruction in online or blended learning using Blackboard Achievements and Adaptive Release, two of my favorite tools within Blackboard. Blackboard tools themselves within our solutions are not important. What they can do for you in your classroom and how they can help your students are what's truly important. So again, the goal is increasing student engagement and differentiated instruction. So we're going to start with an introduction to achievements, an introduction to adaptive release, and talk about what those are. And then I'll do a little demonstration of the tools because they are a bit abstract, and until you see them in action, they're sometimes harder to understand. So we'll take a look at a little demonstration, and then I will switch to walking you through how to set up adaptive release and how to set up a simple achievement so you have a way to get started. And then we're going to do something a little bit different. Questions are welcome throughout the presentation, but we will hold some time at the end for additional questions. But before we move on to questions, as long as there's time, I'd like to have, a discussion. So as you're watching the presentation, as you're getting introduced to achievements and adaptive release, I'd love you to think about, if you're a classroom teacher, instructor yourself, think about how could you apply these tools in your classroom to improve learning. If you work with teachers at your district, school, or university, think about how your instructors there could use these tools, or how these tools could be systematically applied to your programs. We've got examples of that too within our customer base. So I'd like to have an open discussion following the presentation about ways you think these tools could be useful in your setting. And then again, we'll end with just open Q&A certainly, but definitely welcome throughout the presentation. And just for housekeeping, I think a little feedback. If you keep your line in star 6, since we're recording. If you could mute your line using star 6. Definitely getting a lot of feedback here. We'll go ahead and move on there. Let's see. Okay. Sounds like we're past that, so we'll go ahead and go on here. So first, adaptive release. It's a tool in your Blackboard Learn class that empowers teachers to create personalized learning paths in a Blackboard classroom. Paths can be based on things like learning styles. You see an example on the right-hand side, and that's actually done through group membership, that fourth bullet point down there, and you're going to see that in action today. Availability settings, dates and times, individual students or groups, scores or attempts on gradable items, or even calculated grades. So aggregation of grades within the grade center, and finally review status. So you'll see some examples of this as we go through the demonstration today. But ultimately, adaptive
to unmute your line, press star 6 or pound 6.
One of the tools that you can use to facilitate differentiated instruction and personalized learning in Blackboard. Okay, so the second thing we're going to look at today are achievements. Achievements is a great new tool. It's been around just over a year in Blackboard, but it incorporates the concepts of badges that can demonstrate, and serve as evidence of learning even outside a course. So the Achievements tool allows teachers and course designers to designate criteria for issuing rewards to students in the form of badges and certificates. So in online and blended learning, it's sometimes not clear to students what they've mastered and what tasks remain in a class. So it's difficult also for them to show others their accomplishments and give evidence of learning. So this tool helps improve that student experience by allowing, a perspective of learning progression. It provides the ability to model student behavior with a system of rewards that drive, retention in the class through the use of game mechanics. It provides a means to store and share accomplishments with others, transporting evidence of knowledge outside of the online or blended learning classroom through the Mozilla Backpack integration. And we designed the tool to better support self-paced and open enrollment courses that aren't based on due dates by providing students with targets and a means to track their progress in the form of badges. So teachers and instructors can see that progress and track mastery through the badges and completion of milestones in the course. So finally, this continues our commitment of Blackboard to openness by supporting badge publishing to the Mozilla Open Badge Initiative, providing, your institution has, agreed to provide that secure way to validate those recipients who actually earn the badges and that's all facilitated through Blackboard, once it's turned on. We have found that a combination of achievements and adaptive release really increases student engagement and truly helps you personalize learning and differentiate instruction. So what we'll do now is take a look at adaptive release and achievements in action. I'm going to share my application. Colleen, can you confirm whether or not you can see my browser at this point? Are we good?
It is coming up for me in just a second, Katie.
Okay.
There it is.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and log into my Blackboard environment, and I'm going to go to a class where I have achievements and adaptive release set up. And in my environment, we're currently working on the Learn April 2014 release. So we have the latest and greatest Blackboard Learn functionality. One of the new features that was introduced in April is the student preview tool. So some of you, if you're on the latest release, will have this tool. And if you're a release or two back, it's coming soon. We're going to use it today in the demonstration to see what this is like. So what I want to point out, before I get started with the demonstration, I'm going to take you on a tour of my class. I'm in the class as a teacher. So you can see that I have the editing tools. I'm going to open up Unit 1, and you'll see that this unit actually has 3 topics. So in the psychology class, we've got biological bases of behavior, followed by social psychology, followed by topic 3 on learning. So there are actually 3 topics. And we're going to use adaptive release in this class to ensure that a student has to demonstrate mastery on biological basis of behavior before they move on to social psychology and so forth, moving on to learning. We want to make sure they master, previous concepts before moving on to subsequent concepts. The other thing that we're going to do is personalize learning based on the student's learning style, and we're going to provide choice. We're going to allow them to self-identify their learning style. And then 3, we're going to use review status to release content as well. So we'll walk you through that. Now, I have on my course menu a way for students to access their badges or achievements in the course. And I want to give you a view of that before we go in. We've got all achievements. These are grayed out because I haven't earned them. If we look at earned achievements, you can see that I haven't earned any achievements yet. If I look at unearned, I see them all again. So we're going to earn one of these badges in the demonstration today. So the way we're going to test this out is by using our student preview mode. When I build things using adaptive release and achievements, I always like to double check my work to make sure I've actually built them correctly so that I can ensure my students experience exactly what I'd like them to experience in my course. So you'll notice in preview mode, all the editing buttons go away. I just see the nice clean look and feel of my course. When I roll over the menu, I don't have the ability to edit it like I did as a teacher. So we're going to look again at Unit 1. And you'll remember from the initial, when I showed you Unit 1 as a teacher, you'll remember that there were actually 3 topics in Unit 1. Now, you can see that I've set up the experience for my students to only see the first topic. Remember, I set up the experience so they just see the first topic until they demonstrate mastery, and then they're able to move on to the next subsequent lesson or topic 2. Again, I'll show you my badges because as a student, I've not yet earned any badges, and you can see my preview user, my preview student, hasn't earned any badges either. So let's walk through the experience. We're going to go into topic 1 as a student. I'm not going to do all of the parts of the lesson, but I'm going to give you a feel for the student experience in Unit 1. So when we go into the lesson, we have a learning module that we're going to review, and we can kind of page through it like we're reading a virtual or digital textbook. There are animations, images, videos, all built into the learning module, and we can go through the whole thing. And this is set up so the student can go through sequentially and without moving on. Now, I'm going to pretend that we've reviewed the entire learning module, and once we've reviewed it, we're going to use our review status to show that we've reviewed this and we're ready to move to the next item. Because this lesson, this topic, is set up not to show kind of the next activity until I've moved on. So now I can see that the teacher wants me to identify how I learn best. Do I learn best by seeing, hearing, or doing? And Colleen, since I know you're going to be muting and unmuting, I'm going to pick on you. How do you learn best? Do you learn best by seeing, hearing, or doing?
I learn best by doing, I think.
All right. So if Colleen learns best by doing, she's going to identify herself as a kinesthetic learner with a little reminder there, I learn best by doing. And once she's, confirmed that she's signed up for the group, her topic 1 experience is now ready for her. So she's already reviewed the first learning module. She's identified her learning style. So now the project that she sees in this class is a brain dissection project. She's going to have the opportunity to get her hands on a real live brain in the classroom and post her results in the collaborative tool in Blackboard online, and her teacher is going to be able to grade it with an interactive rubric to give her feedback. And this is actually something I did in my classroom when I taught in the blended environment, and that's actually me right there walking around helping my students during the dissection instead of trying to go through and grade 6 stages of a dissection with, as you can see, many labels during each stage. And what I was able to do is use my rubric and grade in Blackboard offline or online later outside of class time. So as I go through the rest of the lesson, we'll pretend we contributed to the wiki and wrote our essay. We have a chance to complete a practice tutorial so that we can ensure we're ready to demonstrate mastery in topic 1. When we are ready, we're going to mark this reviewed. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about this first. But in the topic 1 practice tutorial, this actually lets students take the practice as many times as they want and encourages them to earn an 85% or better to ensure that they're going to do well on the summative assessment. And it actually draws from all the questions on any of the topics included in topic 1 from around 200 questions. So every time the student takes it, they get a different question. We're not going to walk through that now. We'll just take one assessment in this demonstration. But we're going to say we're ready to demonstrate mastery on topic 1, and when we do, that provides the summative assessment. So we're going to come in and take the summative assessment. Now in this case, you can see that I have 10 minutes to complete that assessment. This is actually a very short assessment, and most students in the class actually only get 5 minutes to complete it. Sorry, I'm wrong. I'm in the normal, I'm in the standard set. So most students get 10 minutes. But if students have an IEP and they have time and a half, they will actually come into this and see that they have 15 minutes through the use of the Blackboard exceptions tool within tests. So teachers don't have to create 2 versions of a test to deal with different students' needs. There's a single version of the test, and it gives the student the amount of time they need based on the group that they're in. So this is using the hotspot question. We're going to identify the parietal lobe, the temporal lobe by clicking the part of the picture that answers the question, the frontal lobe, and it looks like I skipped a question, so we'll go back and identify the occipital lobe. And when we're ready, we save and submit our answers. And we can get immediate feedback if the teacher provides that. In this case, we're able to see full review. So we earned 4 out of 4 points. Now you remember, I was only able to see the first topic in Unit 1. But adaptive release is in play here. So what's going to happen, because I've scored and demonstrated mastery, topic 2 has automatically been released. I'm ready to move on. I've demonstrated mastery in topic 1. And I've earned a badge. So when I come into my badges, I can see that I got the topic 1 mastery badge, given to Katie Gallagher as a result. Now, if I want to demonstrate or show evidence of learning outside of Blackboard, I can always come into my Blackboard class and see the badges and achievements that I earned. But I could actually share my evidence of learning outside of Blackboard through the Mozilla Backpack, through the Open Badges initiative, if I want. And that's, of course, as long as my school has turned on that opportunity. achievements can certainly be used without the Mozilla backpack integration as well. Now you'll notice I have earned one badge here, and I can see that I got a notification showing me that. But if you look here, there's another badge for Topic 2, Topic 3 for when I complete the summative assessment. There's another one here for Unit 1. Let's take a look at this. I can actually see what the requirements are. So to earn this badge, I have to demonstrate mastery on Topic 1, 2, and 3. And so you'll notice it's showing me that I'm 1/3 of the way there to earning this badge. So you can see it's a very motivational tool for students, especially if it's a self-paced course and there aren't hard and fast deadlines. They can track their progress as they progress through the course using the achievements or badges. And teachers actually have insight into who's achieved each badge. So it's a great way to do that. The other place I've seen a lot of success with this is using these tools in professional development classes for teachers. Metro Nashville Public Schools, I'm in the middle of writing a story on their successes with Blackboard Solutions right now, and they had every single teacher in the district take a professional development course online in Blackboard. At the end, they earned a badge. And they actually gated teachers through content, just like I'm showing you. All 8 modules, they had to demonstrate mastery on Module 1 before moving to Module 2 and so forth. So it works very well. So with that, I'll go ahead and exit the preview. And that will be complete almost complete with our demonstration of achievements and adaptive release. But I do want to take you back into Topic 1 one more time because we actually didn't see everything. Remember, it was personalized to me based on the fact that I identified I was a hands-on learner, that I learned best by doing. So while I was served up a project where I would be involved with doing the brain dissection, if I had identified myself as an auditory learner, so I got to update my browser here, if I'd identified myself as an auditory learner, I would have had the opportunity to write a song about the brain. If I were a visual learner, I would have the opportunity to collaborate on a project to create a video. We never saw either of these project options. We just saw the brain dissection based on our learning style. And then the last thing I wanted to point out, we demonstrated mastery on the summative assessment in our first attempt. What about for students who don't? What happens in this class through adaptive release if the student doesn't demonstrate mastery on the Topic 1 summative assessment? They're taken to the Topic 1 content review, given a chance to remediate on what they were supposed to learn in that, and then given another chance to move on. So there are really limitless ways that you can use adaptive release to personalize and differentiate learning. We just walked through some examples in that demonstration. So we're ready to move on to walking through setting up some adaptive release and achievements. But Carlene, I wanted to ask if there are any questions so far. We've covered a lot already. We've done an introduction to achievements, an introduction to adaptive release, and we've seen what it looks like in action. Are there any questions that we can look at addressing before we move on?
I don't see any in the chat, but if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and either put them in the chat window or the Q&A. Otherwise, if you think of something as we're going along, feel free to enter them there as well.
Okay.
How do you get the curriculum in Blackboard? That's one of the questions, Katie.
That's a great question. So for me personally, first I started with a lot of the content that I was already using in my face-to-face classroom. And you're able to bring that into Blackboard. You can take all your files and drag and drop them all at once and then organize them into your class. But there are lots of other ways to get content in Blackboard. You can use our mashup, so they're easy ways to go in and grab photos from Flickr, slideshare presentations, YouTube. These options allow you to just go and search and find the object that you want to bring into your class, and it comes right in. You don't have to know how to really do anything very techy. Part of Blackboard's K-12 teaching and learning solutions also include Explore, which is our cross-platform, cloud-based, and global learning object repository. So with Explore, Blackboard users all over the world are able to share things from individual learning objects, like a great video to use in an introduction to biology course, to, assessments, assignments, discussions, entire courses can be shared through Explore. So it's a great way to go find resources to get started setting up your class. It includes, Khan Academy videos, and I think it's over 3,500 free resources from Discovery Education. But on top of that, we have, great content partners like learning.com, where we integrate with another, very K-12 specific repository, NBC Learn, and then we integrate also for those of you, many of our K-12 customers have licenses with Discovery Education, and so we have an integration with Discovery Education so that you can use your Discovery resources within your Blackboard course. So there are lots of ways to get curriculum in, including, purchasing whole courses from vendors that sell courses, but there are lots of ways to easily build courses within Blackboard, both from scratch, using resources you've created, or using our high quality digital content partnerships and open educational resources. Any other questions yet, Colleen?
Nope, not seeing any, so if you want to go ahead and move on, I'll keep an eye on it.
Okay, so we're going to transition to first setting up a very simple adaptive release rule. We're going to try to replicate what we did in Unit 1 and Unit 2, and we'll set up an achievement. So we'll walk through that process and then we'll test it. So what we want to do is make sure that Topic 5 is not visible until our students demonstrate mastery on Topic 4. So all I'm going to do is go to my little caret by Topic 5 and say that I want to set up adaptive release. And then I have some very simple decisions to make. Do I want to release it by date, membership, grade, or review status? And I'm going to see if you were paying attention to the demonstration. Which one of these 4 categories do you think I need to use if we want to make sure that our students don't move on until they demonstrate mastery? Date, membership, grade, or review status. If you could type it into the chat or the QA, I don't care which. Which one do you think we need to set up? Or you can take a guess, Colleen.
Sandy is guessing grade or review status, and Jay is guessing review. Cynthia says review status also.
And I see Stacy's got grade in there. We've got a couple votes for grade. And yes, we're going to use a grade because we want to demonstrate mastery by a score on an assessment. So in this case, we're in Topic 5, and so we're going to base it on the Topic 4 summative assessment. So what I see here are all my gradable objects in the course. And I know that this is a test, and we're going to base it off of the Topic 4 summative assessment. And what we'll do is base it off a specific score, and it tells me it's out of 25 points. So let's just say 30 points. We'll just say that they have to earn a 25 out of 30 to move on to the next topic. Review status would be they can move on simply if they mark it reviewed, and we definitely demonstrated that option. We also demonstrated, adaptive release through group membership. So, but in this case, we want to do through grade status. So it's very simple. I just select what object that needs to be graded and what the score or percentage grade is, and submit. And it is now set up. We're done. We're ready to go. I can test it right now in the preview and show you that when we go in, Topic 5 won't be there. Let's go ahead and do the same thing to Topic 6. We'll add adaptive release, and we'll make sure that they can't move to Topic 6 until they've demonstrated mastery on the Topic 5 summative assessment. And you see how quickly that's set up and ready to go. So now we've applied it to this entire unit, so it's really very easy. We'll go ahead into our achievements tool in your course tools, and we'll go there to set up just one achievement. We won't set up both. We'll just set up one. But let's say
Katie, we've got one One question, if I could interrupt you, how was the learning style set up?
Oh, great. That's a great question. I use group membership there. So we can go in and set one of those up if there's time at the end. But instead of choosing grade, I simply chose group membership and then based it on whether or not they were in a certain group. So similar to what we just did, only choosing group membership as opposed to grade. So we will call this one Topic 4 Mastery. And I have a place in each one of my courses where I put all of my badges. It's in Unit 5. And, when we saw the achievement grade out, that's if you answer yes here. If you say no, they won't see it grayed out until they earn it. I like for them to be able to see what goals they have to look forward to, so I always make those visible. So once we've named our badge, we're going to define the triggers. How do you earn the badge? That's what we're answering here. So you can see this is set up as rule 1. We can add as many rules as we want, so they can be dependent on multiple criteria within the course. So again, in this case, we want them to earn the badge not by date or review status, but again, it's going to match what we set up before. So we're going to base it off their score on the Topic 4 summative assessment, and they have to earn at least 25 points. You see, it could simply be if they've submitted the assessment at all, if they have at least one attempt, they're going to earn the badge. That's not enough here. We want to do it off of mastery, so it's got to be, a high percentage of the score, a specific number we've targeted here. So we're going to select the reward. So we get to pick what the reward is going to look like, and we have several examples here. So Stacy Murphy, which one do you want me to pick? Which image should I pick for the Topic 4 reward? Just give me like the color and the shape.
Go with blue, smiley face.
All right. And you see, you can also attach, an image file from your computer if you want. And then this is if you want them to be able to publish the Mozilla Backpack. So even at the teacher level, you can control that. So we're ready to go. We've set up a new badge, and that's Topic 4 Mastery. And now what I always do as a best practice as an instructional designer is test my work, because I don't know about you, but it's very common for me to make mistakes. If I write a test, sometimes the answer key's wrong. Most of the time I get it right, but I like to check it first to ensure my students are going to get the experience that I want. So we all know Unit 2 has 3 topics, but because we applied adaptive release to Topic 5 and 6, you see, they're no longer visible. In Topic 4, we have to earn 25 out of 30 points on the Topic 4 summative assessment for Topic 5 to be reviewed. And we also know we just set up an achievement for the Topic 4 summative assessment, so we have a chance to earn an achievement. You can see that this is a very difficult test, a little bit more simple than my first brain test, but we'll just answer true and false on these to test as to whether or not our adaptive release and our achievements worked. So review results, we got them all. So when we look at Unit 2 this time, oops, I don't see Topic 5, so I did something wrong. Let's check out the badges, and didn't earn that one. So I gotta go back and tweak something in my adaptive release rule. So that's what I would go back and do. So that's exactly why you would want to go in and check your preview settings. So I'm gonna exit the preview so I could go in as a teacher and see what I did wrong. I should have earned the badge and the been able to move on, but clearly I did something wrong in my setup. So let's see, any questions about the process? I'm going to go in and check my adaptive release rules. And I can see Topic 4 summative assessment, less than or equal to, switch the percentage to, oh, that's what I did wrong. Okay, right there. The score has to be less than or equal to 25. We needed greater than or equal to 25. I just left the default settings. And I think I did
Yep,
it.
Sandy was calling that out for you in the chat there too, Katie. So good eye, Sandy.
Thank you. Very good. Now, I also want to go to my instructor course tool for achievements to make the correction there. Very good on catching that, Andy. And I think I made the same mistake over here, so it's going to be easier. We'll go to the define trigger step. So I can use the tabs across the top. And I just simply edit the rule that I already have here. I'm going to remove that rule and apply a new rule. This is the topic for summative assessment, score greater than or equal to 25. Good eye. And I'm not sure when we edit it if we have to reselect our reward or it's already there. I may need to have moved the top. Let me make sure that we save the triggers. Try this one more time. Score greater than or equal to 25. And I'm going to save and exit. We should be good here now. I'm going to try it one more time. I actually did not mean to do that, although thinking about it, I should write that into the script for this presentation because seeing exactly why you should check your work is actually a good thing. So here we are, topic 4. We are going to quickly take that assessment again and see if we fix the problem. Again, the goal, making sure your students experience the class as you want them to. Submit. Did we get them all right? We're good? So we're going to move to, yes, we were able to move on to topic 5. So we fixed the problem. So we should have earned the badge as well. And yes, you can see that we've earned the topic 4 mastery badge. You will notice that I no longer have the topic 1 mastery because when I exit student preview, I choose every time to delete the preview user and all of its data so that I can start fresh every time with the preview user. That's definitely the recommended. There are some times when you're going to want to keep that data and keep working with it and then delete it later. So you do have that option, but almost all the time I delete that as I move forward. So it has, basically it's built in so you can test what you need to test in your class environment. And you see why that comes in handy with the little mistake I made there, but very easy to fix, very easy to use, and you can see how powerful of an impact it can have on, personalizing learning, motivating your students, and increasing engagement in your online or blended classroom. So before we move to our open discussion, Colleen, I'd like to open it up for additional questions about what we've walked through so far. Any other questions coming in?
Not seeing any yet, but if you have any, just go ahead. We've got one from Susan Dupree. Is the page we're viewing now called Class Navigation?
Yes, I'm on, that's just the page that I named it. It's simply a content page within the course. So if you go to a content area, this is just a content area page, and I called it in my menu Class Navigation. So if I click on one of these, like topic 1, it's going to actually take me into unit 1. They're linked. Any other questions?
Susan's also wondering, how is that page built?
All right, I get that question a lot. So on this page, it's a single content item called an item. And I'll show you a look kind of behind the scenes on that item. I like my classes to be very visual for my students to navigate. So here's my content editor. I'm going to expand the screen so you can see the whole thing. And what you'll see is I've created a table here. Only I've made that table invisible. So actually it's very simple to do in the code. You set the border of the table. Now can you see that very well there? I just set the border of the table to 0. and it allows me to lay out my page nicely, and those edges don't have to be visible to my students. So I simply, inserted images and then linked those images to, where I wanted them to be linked. And in some cases, I just see, courses designed, this way where they don't even do the links. But it's very simple. I accidentally closed my browser. I want to have it open in case I need to go back in. But I'm going to stop sharing my browser at the moment and go back to my slides. So introduction to adaptive release and achievement. But here are my questions. And I'm going to encourage, for this part to, please feel free to unmute your line. On the conference bridge, if you, muted yourself that way with *6, please use *6 on your phone to unmute. Because I'd like to have an open discussion here, and I think that would be better, verbally than in the Q&A in the chat. But here are my questions for you. Can, after seeing this presentation, seeing these examples, and I realize, this is probably not all 100% new to everyone, but hopefully there was something new in this for everyone to learn. But can you share and explain an example of how you might improve your Blackboard class with adaptive release and achievements? And then, how do you think students, in your class, throughout your school, in your district, could benefit from the use of adaptive release or achievements? And, we don't have to go in this order. Any thoughts you have about how these concepts could be applied or how your students will benefit, that's what I want to hear and talk about. So please unmute and contribute. How about Stacy Murphy from White Hat? Any thoughts?
This is Patty in Glen Rose, Texas. Can you hear me?
Yes, great. Hi, Patty. Thanks for speaking up.
Okay, as far as the benefits, the students are not extremely motivated to begin with, and so I'm hoping that the badges will increase motivation, plus it gives them a very visual way of knowing if they're on track and where they are. So just the visual, adding that in, and a motivation.
Great. And are you doing online or blended? What's your program at Glen Rose?
Blended.
Blended. All right. And are you working with what age students?
But I'm the instructional technologist, so.
Okay, so for
Oh.
everyone. Yeah. Okay, great. And this was really pretty easy. Does it look like it'll be something easy to pass on to your teachers? And, we've recorded this session as well, and it's going to be published and sent out to this whole group. So you'll have this recording that you can use with them too. But how do you think your teachers will catch on?
I'm very excited over your title page there, or your main class page, because below about 5th grade, I have a hard time getting the teachers to think it looks elementary enough for them. Mm-hmm. And I think I can show them that, and all of a sudden it's going to become elementary looking for them.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be a big advantage. And then, yes, the webinar, it'll be easy to pass on.
Good, good. I'm going to pull one more thing up based on that last comment, because I think at one point I'd created an elementary-looking classroom. My experience is all teaching high school. It's just where I come from personally. But I created kind of a sample first-grade classroom. My children are in elementary school, so I'm kind of basing it up, if their teachers were using Blackboard. But I created, obviously much more simple here for first graders or kindergartners. I'm going to go into the student preview because you don't see all the editing. But, I tried to make even, navigating per subject area be by the picture, because some students at that age aren't yet reading. So instead of just navigating over here, they could use the picture to navigate. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear that that's helpful. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't be shy, everyone. How else do you think these tools could be helpful in your settings?
Hi, Katie. This is Sue Dupree.
Hi, how are you, Susan?
I'm fine, thanks. I was really interested in the adaptive release today because I coordinate a virtual learning program for about 200 students, and I have a few students who have a tendency to try to just take the quizzes without reviewing the items first, and then all of a sudden they're in Unit 3 when they still should be back in Unit 1 because they haven't mastered the skills. And so I'm really anxious to share the adaptive release with my instructors and help them to set it up on those classes where we have that issue of skipping.
That's great. That's a perfect example. And I taught for a state virtual school, and we had exactly the same problem, especially in the summer session. Kids would be trying to, they would procrastinate, and then they'd be trying to rush through the entire course. But we needed, to give credit for the course, we had to ensure that they could pass the final. So one thing that we put in place was making sure they had to demonstrate a certain level of proficiency in each unit along the way to increase the odds that they would actually pass the final at the end. So we've seen success, and I think I mentioned Metro Nashville Public Schools. They serve over 80,000 students in Nashville, Tennessee. Their virtual school, every one of the 72 courses is using adaptive release in the same way you just saw in this particular example. And they're also using achievements within professional development. They set up their PD that way too. So I hope it's very helpful for your program, Sue.
Thank you, Katie. I think it will be. I'm also interested in, you mentioned about for the children that were guaranteed extended time. Would you have time to show how that's set up?
Yeah, let me do that. That's a very little known feature in Blackboard, and it's so powerful, especially for K-12. So yes, thanks for asking that. Let's go back and actually do that really quick. I'll take you into a timed assessment so that you can see what we did. So I'll pop back to a psychology course, and I will go into my first assessment. And this was new. It's maybe only a year or so old. I forget. I've been in Blackboard so long, I forget when we introduced new functionality. But it's not new, but you could have easily missed it. So when you go to your test options, I've got a test here that's deployed. When you go to your test options, you'll see that as you make decisions about how to deliver your test to your students, so like for example, this one allows unlimited attempts. In an actual classroom, sometimes I only give them 2 or 3 attempts. And, I might not always want their highest grade. My husband teaches math, and he likes to give them a second chance. But I think a lot of times what he does is provide the average. So if they had a low attempt, and you mentioned they, take it and then just try to move on, this might be something that you want to implement as well, switching from unlimited to, 2 or 3 attempts, then taking the average or the highest grade, but he is a math teacher, he likes to take the average. But that way, they're accountable for that first score, but they can improve it by taking it again, especially if they can't move on until they demonstrate a certain mastery. But you can decide exactly how to score it in the Grade Center, what you want to take. Now, this one, the timer is set for 10 minutes. So when I come down here to my test availability exceptions, you can see that I have a group in my class called IEP time and a half. It's just a standard requirement that I had found on IEPs in my schools quite a bit. So let me remove this, and I'll set it up so you can see what it's like to set it up. So I want to provide an exception for a group, and what I've already done in users and group is create a group called, IEP time and a half. So I'm going to go to groups. Right now I'm seeing individual students here, and I see the different groups that I've already set up in my class, and I set one up called time and a half, and this is actually a hidden group, so other students in the class cannot see that, who's in this group or that the group exists. So I'm going to choose the time and a half group, because that's why I created the group. And it shows the timer for this assessment is set for 10 minutes, so time and a half is 15. And no, if I want, maybe for this group I don't want to auto-submit, but I can if I want. I'll keep the rest of those settings the same. But your options for what you can create exceptions for based on your rules for the assessment. So this means anyone in this group will get 15 minutes instead of, up here I set the timer as 10 minutes. Everyone will get 10 minutes unless there's an exception. They're in this group. They've got the exception. They get time and a half. It's a very simple fix. So any assessments you already have set up, you can go in and add exceptions to, even if, that feature didn't exist when you set up your test.
Thank you so much, Katie.
No problem. It's very easy, which is a great thing.
Can I ask one more question on that? There was a restrict location or restrict what parameter does that control?
So in the same service pack that we introduced exceptions, I think it was, we created a way to basically say you can't take a test unless the computer meets certain requirements. So your Blackboard administrator can set up things that identify, let's say you have testing labs 1, 2, and 3 in your school, and you wanted to do a final exam through Blackboard, but you don't want students to be able to access or take that final exam from home, and just putting a password on it isn't secure enough for you. You can put a password on it, and you can say they need to be in testing lab 1 to take it. And your administrator has different ways to set up what testing lab 1 means through your Blackboard admin panel. It might be that they give a range of IP addresses and so forth, but they lock it down to computers in that particular location. Does that make sense?
That's lovely. Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
Katie, we did have one question. I'm not sure if you already covered it. Can you set adaptive release based on the achievement of a badge, say the Unit 1 bigger badge?
It's not based on the badge, but you can set adaptive release based on more than one rule. So I should setting up a single rule. You can set up that they have to, like the Unit 1 badge, they have to score a minimum proficiency level against Topic 1, Topic 2, and the Topic 3 assessment. So you can set up a multi-ruled adaptive release. Or let's say you had a score in your grade center that takes the average and bubbles up to your Unit 1 score. So maybe it takes what is the combined percentage for the Topic 1, Topic 2, and Topic 3 assessments, and that's your Unit 1 assessment. Maybe there's not a separate assessment, but combined you have to have an average of 80% or better for that calculated column in your grade center. You can trigger adaptive release off that calculated column. So 2 ways you could do it: more than one rule, or scoring off a calculated column instead of a single column.
Sure. Another question that just came in: are badges tied to classes and groups, or can we add some that are tied to the school in general? And can principals add a badge for a student not tied to Blackboard tasks?
Great questions. So badges today in Blackboard exist, within classes and organizations. So the way, I believe they're in organizations too. Let me pop into one just to be sure, but I don't think it's different in organizations. Let me make sure. But not the school in general. So if you had an organization that you set up for the entire school to participate in, and actually let me just go to my tool set because I'll see if it's there. Yeah, I've got achievements in organizations as well, so I can create achievements there, which are badges. I could create, a organization where everyone in the school is enrolled and participates. So if the principal wants to create one for students, it can be in that organization. So it encompasses everybody in the school, but it does it happens within the context of a Blackboard class or a Blackboard organization. And I do believe they're all tied to tasks in Blackboard. The one that's easiest if you choose, mark reviewed, and, maybe mark reviewed is, I participated in the canned food drive on Friday or something, and the student goes into Blackboard and marks that reviewed, indicating that they've done that. It wouldn't be tied to like a score. Or Stacey, if you can give me another example of what you're looking for, not tied to a Blackboard task. It has to be the trigger for the receipt of the badge has to come from some action in Blackboard. And Stacy added a comment. I think she was trying to speak, but she was still on mute. Achievements will generate excitement, and adaptive release will help individualize instruction for students with IEPs. Yeah, and again, adaptive release, one example, I'm glad we had the chance to walk through exceptions, because totally unrelated to adaptive release, but, it's such a critical tool for differentiation and for meeting the needs on different IEPs. Okay. Any other questions? All right. And keep the questions coming. We don't have to stop right now, but we are, with 4 minutes to go to the end of the hour. Glad to see Susan can't wait to play with badges. Great. I'm glad we had a chance to share this topic. We try to primarily have our customers present on these sessions, but every once in a while we have a special session where we have someone from Blackboard present. So it was very fun to share with you guys today. With that, I'll hand it back to you, Colleen, so we can walk through. Oh, I do have one more slide. I forgot. We'll send these links out when we send the follow-up in a few days. It will probably come next week since this one is happening on a Friday, but we'll send you the link to the recording and a PDF of my slides, and we'll try to remember to put in the email these links, because I have some links to quick hits that show this, an achievement quick hit, a student preview quick hit, and just the whole playlist. These are great resources in case you're not aware of them. So we'll share those in the follow-up email that we will be sending. And we really already did kind of open questions. If you have more, please send them in, and I'll go ahead and hand it to Colleen to close this out, but don't hesitate to add more questions in the chat.
Thanks, Katie. Sorry, guys, stuck on mute for a second there. Just a reminder as we wrap up, I just want to remind you guys about our BB K-12 Live app that is available in the iOS for iOS and Android. So all of the content that you've been seeing so far through the BIT series, as well as additional content from BB World, from some of the events that we have going on around the country this fall. We've got a lot of video content that we're adding in there, and there's also some networking elements. If you add your information, you can connect with other teachers around the country. So it's a great resource. We really encourage you to download it. The app doesn't work for Kindle Droid. I will ask about that, Stacy. I don't know any details, but we will try and find out what all that means. So just as a reminder, normally Katie is our presenter on these, and I am your coordinator in the background. So Katie will be back on Monday. If you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to her either on Twitter at Katie Gallagher or katie.gallagher@blackboard.com. We really appreciate you guys participating with us today, and as Katie mentioned, we'll send the recording and the presentation slides in just a few days, probably sometime early next week. So keep an eye out for that. And in addition, look out for the invitation to participate in that PLC online, and if you'd like to accept and participate, we would love to have you. So Monday's session will be making the most of your technology initiative, how to effectively leverage technology in a one-to-one classroom. It's a great presentation by Brandy Todd and Leanne Ford, where they really showcase some cool things that they're doing at Piedmont City. So we encourage you guys to come and take a look. If you're not able to attend on Monday, look out for that recorded content either in the BITS playlist or on the K-12 Live app. And that's it from us today. Thanks, guys.
Great. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks so much for hosting today, Colleen.
Yep. Thanks, Katie.